Hey, Bills Mafia. We know there's only one topic every day. All Bills, all the time. And now Matt Bovee and Sal Capaccio are going really deep, talking Bills all year long, because it's always game day in Buffalo.
You could not ask for more perfect weather for the final return of the blue and red open practice at the current Highmark Stadium, Friday night, August 1st. Absolutely amazing, man. It was awesome to be out there. I mean, there's been some really awesome nights out there before. There's been some rain before. This was just picture perfect.
Yeah, elite weather today for the entire day, and then it gets capped off with the perfect weather outside at the stadium. Nearly 40,000 fans.
Amazing.
That's the announced attendance. You know, I'm sure that number isn't maybe quite as high, but regardless, it was packed house. The lower bowl was almost completely full, besides like a little part of one end zone. So I was very impressed with the turnout. It was a gorgeous evening, and it's another indication that football season keeps chugging along, right? I mean, we're going to be back there in a week for a game, for a preseason game, which is just bananas to think about.
Yeah, that's right. August 9th, the Giants come to town for a 1 p.m. preseason game. And on Friday night, to get things kicked off, lots of fans saw what they came to see, which was Josh Allen coming out of the tunnel with something different than the normal white helmet. We all kind of had theories on what would happen. I did not think it would be the red helmet. I said, he's already done that, and they're already wearing a red helmet. It's got to be something different. But lo and behold, it was the red helmet.
Yeah, and I did call it to a lot of our peers. I was like, I guarantee that it's the red helmet. It feels like a little bit too much of a layup because you're showing off something without actually debuting anything, right? Like we already knew that the helmet was coming back. So this was a cool way to kind of show it to everybody of, hey, look, you already know it's coming back, but look how good it looks. And that was my takeaway. I love the helmet. I hate it on the red jerseys. I shouldn't say I hate it. It would look so much better on a white jersey or on a blue jersey. So the red on red is a little bit too much for me. And also they're not the exact same shade. And that bothers me a little bit. So I love the red helmet. I wish they were wearing them more, but I just think it would have looked better with blue or white. But, you know, the quarterbacks are in red. There's nothing you can do about that.
I remember a couple of years ago, and I know that I've referenced and people have referenced the tweet that I had from talking with then COO Ron Rakuya, and he is no longer the COO. But at the time, people asked when Josh came out with the red helmet, well, why don't you do that in a game? What about third jerseys and uniforms? This is a couple of years ago. And his response, in part, there was a lot of it, was all red is not our preferred look. So I agree with you. I don't know if that's changed, but I think that's probably right, that they also don't want to do the all red head to toe.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? That's just kind of ridiculous. That feels very college sports, and that's not anything wrong with that because sometimes you got to take risks to really hit on one of these uniform combinations. But I just love how clean the Bills' normal jerseys are. I love the blue on the white. I love the white on white. I wish they had a standing Buffalo more prominently featured or more regularly featured, I shouldn't say. Not more prominently featured, but, you know, I feel like they'll have a nice combination this year with their rivals jersey, with the red helmet, maybe with the standing Buffalo, like a nice little mixed bag for the final season.
Then from there, Josh Allen tossed the ball with some fans in the stands. He warmed up like he normally would, and his night was over. Now, we did not get an official vet rest night for Josh Allen like we did for a few others, like we'll get to, but it kind of felt like a vet rest night for Josh Allen.
It was a vet rest night without him actually getting the entire evening off.
Right.
And you can't do that because there's probably thousands of kids and fans who are coming out to the stadium to see Josh Allen.
Yeah.
So for them to get there and him be in a t-shirt and shorts, I think would have been disheartening. I also, though, could make the argument of why not just give him a vet rest day yesterday and to have him do a normal practice today. But then I have a theory is I wonder if they want him practicing on the turf. Like, I wonder if they are trying to avoid the turf as much as possible for like all of their starters.
Well, I have a theory on that for the other guys who rested.
You brought it up to me while we were sitting in practice, and then I started to think about it more, and I was like, I wonder if they just kind of want all of their main guys to not be out on the turf.
That's actually not my theory about it. And we could, it's funny because we could ask Sean McDermott about it, you know, whether he'd say it, you know, if there was a specific reason, he might just say it's because it's the day that it fell. My theory, the reason why Josh Allen had a vet rest day unofficially is because they wanted to get the backup quarterback, specifically Mike White, a lot of time tonight. We're recording this on Friday night because it'll be Mitch Trubisky starting next Saturday. So I think they wanted Mike White to get a lot of work in this particular setting. Mitch Trubisky gets it next week, and therefore you kind of get an extra quote unquote preseason game in for Mike White a little bit.
Sure. I don't think that's a bad theory. We have stuff to talk about there too, by the way, as far as the backup quarterback competition.
Let's do it. What do you got?
I think the offense operates smoother right now with Mike White than it does with Mitch Trubisky.
I like Mike White a lot. I don't know if I could go as far to say what you said just now because I haven't really noticed it like that, but I wouldn't doubt it. And if you're saying that, to notice it like that, I wouldn't doubt it because I think Mike White has shown enough in this league, and we went through some stats. He's thrown for over 400 yards in a game. He's thrown for 300 yards a couple of times otherwise, I believe, or at least close to it. I wouldn't doubt it. And I think Mike White has an opportunity to unseat Mitch Trubisky here.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that we loosely talked about it before training camp started. And now that we're into training camp, it has not changed my opinion. It maybe has strengthened my opinion in thinking that there is a very legitimate chance Mike White wins this job. And it also goes to the point that you just made. If they didn't think that this was a real competition, they wouldn't be thinking about that. They wouldn't be like, oh, I want Mike White to get more of a look in this setting, and then Mitch Trubisky can get a look in the next setting. I just feel like when from passing, the passing offense looks smoother right now with Mike White. Now, Mitch Trubisky did have a couple nice passes, especially to Keon Coleman at the end of the practice today, and we'll talk about Keon in a little bit. So I don't want to make it sound like this is a slam dunk Mike White decision because it's not. But
do you think it matters? Do you think it matters that Mitch is a lot more mobile than Mike White?
No, I don't, because I don't think I think in theory it does, because it's like, oh, you could run a similar offense because Mitch is more mobile. But I think Mike White throws the ball better than Mitch does, especially at this point in their careers. And he's certainly not afraid to. So there's probably going to be a higher variance with Mike White. I think he's got a better chance to win you a couple games. He's also got a better chance to lose you a couple games. I think with Mitch Trubisky, it's just kind of status quo, which is maybe what they want. That's probably what they want. It would drive me crazy if the Bills had a backup quarterback who came in and threw 13 passes for 87 yards and completed 11 of them. It's just mind-numbing to me. Like, let it rip, baby. And that's what Mike White would be doing. He would be,
I agree,
310 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and maybe they would win. Like, that's probably the Mike White stat line.
And really, it's really balancing that, which I agree, versus, I don't know, 15 of 20 for 180 yards, a touchdown, no picks.
Probably less. Probably 50 rushing yards, but like 100 passing yards.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's what you're thinking about, what the options are. It's really interesting, and I agree with you. And they're not going to keep 3, by the way. They won't do that because they have 4 in the organization. And honestly, like, Shane Buechele is most likely on the practice squad, and whoever loses the job between Trubisky and White could very well be on the practice squad, or they could decide and say, look, you didn't want me here. I'm going to try and, stay available to go somewhere else for another team. All right. On the receiving end of those Mitch Trubisky passes and Mike White passes was Keon Coleman. But he also was on the end of a couple of plays where he should have come up with the ball and he didn't. I thought it was a very roller coaster night for Keon Coleman.
Very on brand for what Keon Coleman has been. And this is oversimplifying it. He makes the hard catches and struggles with the easy catches. And I know that that's not always true, but it feels like the contested ones are the ones he brings down, and the wide open catches are sometimes the ones that hit his hands and bounce to the ground. I mean, we watched 2 clear as day drops, one from Josh Allen at 7-on-7, and then one from Mitch Trubisky during 11 or like normal team drills. And one of them was a really nice throw from Trubisky. It would have been a first down, hits him right in the hands on a slant, falls down, hits the ground. But then at the end of practice, makes a couple beautiful contested catches, one of which, by the way, against Christian Benford, a really nice ball, makes it, brings it in, and then a couple plays later, makes another contested catch, and then ultimately caps off the drive with a touchdown catch against Dane Jackson. So there was more good than bad, but it just feels like it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 4 steps back. It's just so back and forth with him right now.
You just said something that reminded me. Isn't that what we used to say about Gabe Davis a lot? He makes the tough catch, but he drops the easy one sometimes.
Maybe. Yeah, we did. I don't remember specifically. It felt like the Gabe Davis name that you just dropped is so interesting because I had the conversation the other day of would you bring him back? And that was an entirely different conversation. And my point was, well, don't you trust him more than you trust some of the guys currently on your roster? And the pushback was, I don't know if I feel that way. I feel like they already have guys on their roster.
Because he was inconsistent. I think like we're seeing a bit of Keon Coleman right now.
Yeah.
I think the difference is the upside of Keon Coleman would far outweigh the upside of Gabe Davis, right? Like Gabe Davis had some big games, there's no doubt. But I think that Keon Coleman, his career, his arc, his seasons could be really, really good if he reaches what he's supposed to reach.
Yeah, but if we're comparing them, and I know it's not an easy comparison, but Gabe Davis was a 4th-round pick flyer.
That's right.
Keon Coleman was the first pick of the 2nd round. Don't you need him to be more than a comparable to receiver to what Gabe Davis is?
Oh yeah, I'm not making that point at all. I'm just
Yeah.
comparing the two, like their styles and what they bring you. And I think that the inconsistencies are the same, but I do think that if Gabe Davis reached his potential and Keon Coleman reached his potential, which is higher?
Oh, Keon Coleman.
Keon Coleman, right? That's the point I'm making. So I think that's why you have more faith, which also gets us back to you got to make those catches. You got to make those catches that he didn't make. And I thought it was a roller coaster night, but that is, like you said, on brand. Like this is what Keon Coleman does. He's going to make these flashy plays, but he has to be able to get more consistent. And I thought he was getting more consistent the last few days. In fact, I was on WGR a couple of times with Bulldog over the last couple of days, and the word I used was intentional. I thought Keon Coleman, he looked more intentional, the way that he would run routes, the way that he would be able to kind of find himself where he's supposed to find himself. And I think that's a really good sign, a really good thing for him to show that he's understanding nuance of the NFL and what he's supposed to be doing and where he's supposed to be, but he has to be more consistent catching the football.
I just look at a day like today. I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you said. If you drop multiple passes in a game, I don't know how much trust your quarterback is going to have to give you those options. The reason he got those today is because they just don't have a lot of other options at wide receiver to run with their first team or with their top guys. So he just continued to be out there. But in the regular season, if he has a couple drops in a game, is he even going to be out there to try and make those contested catches? And if he is out there, is Josh looking his way, or is he holding on to the ball a little bit longer and trying to find somebody else open? So I don't know. I don't ultimately really know what to expect from Keon Coleman this year. I do feel like it's going to be maybe a more acceptable version of what we saw last year, where there's really good games and then games where he kind of disappears. I just think there'll be more really good games, and the games where he disappears won't be so abrupt. It won't be one catch for 6 yards. Maybe it's 3 catches for 20 yards, kind of like Gabe used to have, honestly, where there would be the good games, and then there would be the games where you didn't even remember he was on the team.
Make sure you are following us on X at Sal Sports at Matt_Bove. Make sure you subscribe to me as well for some additional content. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It's always Game Day in Buffalo, wherever you pod. We are on video at Sal Sports on YouTube. We are also audio wherever you pod, iTunes, Spotify, the Odyssey app. Thank you so much. All right. Go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, let's do quickly the Khalil Shakir update because it ties into the wide receiver. Yeah, we're reading each other's minds here.
I got you. No problem. I was going to get to Khalil Shakir because, speaking of wide receivers, Khalil Shakir left the field with an injury. We don't know the severity of it. I'll tell you what I saw. I was kind of right there, and it was really felt like a game. It was exactly where I normally stand for a game. I see him come off the field talking to trainers, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Did something happen? I didn't see anything happen on the field. He walked over to the medical bench where the tent normally is. They didn't have the tent up, sat down, head athletic trainer Nate Bresky and another trainer put his legs out and started working on what looked to me like his right foot / ankle area, pushing on it, asking questions, doing some stretches. After a while, Josh Allen came over, talked to him. You could see they had some words. And then Khalil got up off the table, took both of his cleats off at this point, just had his socks on, walked into the tunnel with a bit of a limp on his own power with trainers.
Yeah, so the play had happened on, it was a run play during team drills, and he kind of got rolled up on, It looked like he was kind of out to the side, got rolled up on, kind of like a stray that hit him, and then he was slow to get up, and then he went off to the side. I did not watch him walk off the field, but I was watching him after the play with a slight limp, but not anything that you would be like, ooh, that looks really, really bad. So I am going to kind of treat this until we know anything different. Like, hey, he got banged up. I wonder if in a game if he would continue to play. But that's just me speculating. It did not look that bad. And I feel like in these settings, you are always overly cautious. So that's just educated guess, not basing that off of anything anybody has told me. It just feels like got banged up a little bit. No reason to work on that or push it during a practice. We'll see it whenever you're ready.
All right. So Matt and I are recording this late on Friday night, August 1st. So late, I'm still watching a very lengthy Yankees game. I was telling Matt about it earlier. I just want everybody to know, because by the time you listen to this, the game's going to be over. Yankees blew a big lead. They came back. They tied it. They took the lead. It was 12-10 going bottom of the ninth. And now the Marlins have retied it 12-12. After the new right fielder the Yankees just acquired, a trade, literally had the ball go under his glove as he was trying to go field it. And it went all the way to the wall for a triple and scored 2 runs.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I love it.
It's not, but I'm like watching it as I'm talking to you, and I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And Matt's talking about Khalil Shakir, and I'm watching this Yankees team, and the 2 pitchers they just got blew it, and then the new outfielder they got just blew it, and it's pretty wild. So who knows? Maybe they're going to lose here while we're on the air. We hope that Khalil Shakir is good to go. I hope you're right that it's like nothing too serious. I did see Curtis Samuel on the field after the game. He said, yeah, I'm going to be good. I mean, I didn't get in too much into it, but guys were just talking. Hey, how you doing? Good. Hope you're feeling good. Yeah, I'm going to be good. Okay. So they got to get some of these guys back, obviously.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy watching these team drills on both sides and seeing the players that are out on the field. It makes you realize how banged up they still are. The good news is the majority of the injuries don't seem like they're going to extend into the regular season. But, I mean, I feel like I haven't seen their actual linebackers out on the fields together maybe in a week. Their defensive backfield is still banged up because Cole Bishop is now not practicing. Obviously, the Max Hairston injury comes into play, but then Trey White also had a veteran rest day. So then you see a bunch of Dane Jackson and Dorian Strong out there, just like a really, really banged up defense. And then on offense, right, Shakir leaves. Josh only does the first 40 minutes of practice or whatever it is. Spencer Brown was out on the field, but was not practicing, was not in gear or anything like that. So then you don't have him in the mix. Curtis Samuel still not involved as much. Elijah Moore just coming back after general leg soreness, wasn't doing all the stuff in team drills. So they're just really banged up. I mean, it's over a dozen injuries, probably closer to 15 that they're still dealing with.
Yeah, Tyrell Shavers just came back. Dawson Knox just came back. Cedric Van Pran Granger is still out. So is Lucky Anderson. When you throw that in with Spencer Brown, that's 3 offensive linemen. Then offensive lineman Mike Edwards got hurt during the scrimmage, during the a scrimmage portion of the practice. He did not leave the field, but he did come off the field after trainers came out.
Yeah, he got looked at for a while, actually, as well. So they're just, I know it happens a lot this time of year, and there's just more players to get injured because the rosters are so big right now. I'm very curious to see what they do, though, in the preseason game if they have all these injuries, because it'll either just be 3.5 quarters of third stringers, or maybe the starters play a little bit longer than we anticipate.
Yeah, and the Yankees did wind up losing 13-12 on a dribbler to the mound that scores the guy from third base. I mean, that's just the appropriate way to lose.
I was judging your reaction. I was judging how you were looking and assuming that that's exactly the update that you were going to tell me.
I apologize for that, because I should be paying attention to you, and it was just such a riveting, ridiculously frustrating game, though.
You don't need to apologize. You don't need to apologize at all.
But it's like you do this when you were watching hockey. Sometimes you're like, oh, what a great shot by Dahlin. Like, okay, let's go. It's okay. It's what we do.
The television is right. We're talking about, we love sports, right?
Yes.
Like, this is why we do what we do. So if I've got my TV here and the Sabres are playing or something, and I'm a sicko, like, I don't know why I'm still, so I do not miss Sabres games. Like, even if I'm not working, I watch it. And that's kind of how you are with the Yankees, though.
I am. No matter what, if they're on, I watch them no matter what. But yeah, for sure. And it's okay. We're all here.
I have another Bills take.
Bills, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to get some questions as well. I got to get to something as well. You real quick, Matt Milano, Joey Bosa, Tre'Davious White, all vet rest days, so everybody knows.
Yes, all of those guys vet rest days. Spencer Brown taken off PUP list, so I would imagine maybe he's back to practice on Sunday when they get back to Rochester. Feels like it could make sense. You know who flashed a couple times today and I've been impressed with as a whole?
Hold on. Give me a position.
Well, I'll tell you defense.
Okay, because I was going to say, you know who? I want to stick on wide receiver for a minute. I think Jalen Virgil's had a really good camp.
Jalen Virgil has had a good camp. The problem Jalen Virgil runs into is he's a little bit too much like Elijah Moore and Curtis Samuel.
That's right.
Is there a chance? Is there a chance Curtis Samuel isn't on this roster?
It would cost him a lot of money to release him.
But I mean,
sure.
Right?
I mean, it would cost dead money, but sure. I guess I could see it. But Jalen Virgil's been a guy that they literally signed to the active roster last year, and I think he makes catches. He makes catches, during practices. So I think he's a guy to monitor here. I haven't seen Elijah Moore flash. He's been okay. I haven't seen him do too much. So maybe Jalen Virgil sneaks on the roster somehow. All right, defense. Who has looked good on defense? Oh, I know. I think I know. A guy that I think he's had a sneaky good camp, Javon Solomon.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. Javon Solomon.
Listen, I'm going to go back to March. I've been pumping up Javon Solomon a little bit, saying I think that he's a guy that people are forgetting about and sleeping on. This is a guy that had a lot of production in college, rushing the passer. He's good at it. And I think that he could make a step, but we're starting to see it a little bit here.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Javon Solomon is going to. He was going to make the team because he is a core special teams player. But I start to wonder, is he going to have a role on the defense, like a real role on their actual defense when everybody is healthy? And does the rotation look a little different than we anticipated, especially early on in the season? I think Michael Hoyt's going to be heavily involved when he comes back from suspension. I think whatever Landon Jackson is, I don't know. But I think right now, maybe those reps are going to Javon Solomon. Maybe their top guys are Rousseau, Bosa, Epinesa, Solomon. And those are the next guys up when they don't have their main group out on the field, at least until Hoyt comes back. So I've liked Solomon, and I feel like he brings some juice. He brings them something, just pure speed and athleticism that the other guys don't necessarily have. Now, he's not maybe as well-rounded. That's okay, though. I feel like he just does something for them a little differently than the other options they have.
I liked what I saw from him in limited action last year. I thought that he was able to do the things he's supposed to be able to do, to be able to kind of flash and put some pressure on the quarterback a little bit here and there. I'm interested to see what happens at that position too. I'm going to go one level behind defensive end and say linebacker was interesting on Friday night because you have Terrell Bernard out. Matt Milano was on a vet rest day. His backup is out, Dorian Williams. So you're without your top three linebackers, I would call it.
Yeah.
And what the Bills did, and I wrote the other day, and we talked about how there's a clear battle for backup middle linebacker right now between Joe Andreessen and Balin Spector. Well, with both your will linebackers out and your middle linebacker out, what the Bills did on Friday night was Joe Andreessen was the starting middle linebacker calling the plays, and Balin Spector was the starting will linebacker. And I don't know if that's which guy that's better for if I want to try to handicap it, right? You could say, oh, that means that they have Andreessen ahead of Spector, but you could also look at the other way and go, yeah, but Spector shows that he has position flexibility, which they love. So maybe he's ahead of him. I think it's really interesting.
I think Andreessen is the fourth guy right now. I do. I think that it's Milano, Bernard, Dorian Williams, Joe Andreessen, and then I think the really interesting battle will be between Balin Spector and Shaq Thompson. So are you taking a flyer?
Is Eddie Ulofoshio not on this team?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe he is. Maybe he is. They like Balin Spector more than people anticipate.
Yes, I agree.
And Shaq Thompson is the more household name.
Shaq is very, very versatile.
Yeah. That's what, to me, I would think you keep Shaq Thompson and you try and get Balin Spector on your practice squad. And if you lose him on the practice squad, then so be it. Whatever. That's just the game that you play with having a deep roster. I think, though, that Andreessen has a leg up on Balin Spector. And some of that special teams, I know Balin Spector plays special teams, but I think a lot of that is availability. And I think the fact that we're getting a little bit more versatility and position flexibility from Joe Andreessen also helps his case even more.
And he made a play in the early, did you see the play he made in the early portion on the, like, there was like a toss sweep? And I'm telling you, I was like, is that Matt Milano or Joe Andreessen? I'm not kidding you. Like, he
Uh-huh.
diagnosed it so fast and got through
Yeah.
to where he's supposed to get. And that's Joe. Joe is just able to figure it out, diagnosis, and get to a spot before anybody. And I think that's what they love about Joe. That's what I love about Joe.
Yeah, Ulofoshio had a couple decent plays today too, but I just don't know from a sample size perspective if there's enough there to win over a spot on a position that's now pretty deep. Like I don't know if I'd go deep, but there is a clear top three that they're not moving off of. And if they're gonna keep five, that means you got to beat out somebody else who beat you last year. And Joe Andreessen didn't do anything to take himself off this roster from what we saw last year. And the thing we keep coming back to with Spector is they always have Spector on this team. Like they just have. So until they prove to us that they're not going to, I would think that's the safer bet.
All right, let's answer some questions. Matt threw out the tweet earlier before we went on.
Yeah.
Said, hey, you have some questions for us. The first one comes to us from our friend Elena Getzenberg of ESPN.com, who says, how do you pronounce the name of this town? And she puts it in here. And the reason I'm picking this question is because I know how to pronounce it. Do you know how to pronounce it?
It's Chilai, right?
It is Chilai.
Chilai.
I'm pretty sure because it's Gates Chilai. I know Gates Chilai High School.
Gates Chilai.
So
it looks like chili though.
It does, but I believe you say Chilai in this instance. Who knows? Maybe we've been saying it wrong all these years. I think it's Chilai. That's how you say it.
All right, here's one from Mike. There has been buzz around Dorian Strong. How has Jordan Hancock been? Seems to have a ton of potential. I'll start with Dorian Strong. I thought Dorian Strong had a strong, no pun intended, start to camp. And then when the pads came on, it dipped a little bit. But I do think that he's bounced back nicely in these next couple of days. The question I have about Dorian Strong, I think he's going to be on the team. I think he's going to, play special teams. I wonder if they view him as their third corner at the moment, or their fourth corner at the moment, or their fifth corner at the moment, which I'm really interested to see because I do think that there's pretty clearly right now Christian Benford, Tre'Davious White. Max Hairston is injured. When he comes back, that's certainly the top three. What about the other guys after that? Is it Dane? Is it Dorian Strong? We had a conversation. Do we think Dane makes the team? Well, once Hairston gets injured, I think the likelihood that Dane makes the team, even if Hairston's back, increases just because they know that they've got somebody there that they have needed to use and trust. So I don't know what to expect from Dorian Strong. I think he's starting to bounce back a little bit after a couple days where I thought he was getting beat a little bit more often than you would like. But I would say overall for a rookie, more to like there than to be disappointed with.
I think that Max Hairston could be a IR designate to return candidate for one of those two spots they can use when cutdowns come. Then you can save that spot for another corner to keep a Dane Jackson, Jamarcus Ingram, and Dorian Strong all at the same time because it's a crowded room. And right now, I don't see all those guys making the team. Somebody's got to go. But I do think that if you put Harrison on that list, maybe you can find a way to keep that extra corner. Al asks, speaking of roster spots, could the Bills be looking to save an extra roster spot this year by utilizing their skill position player for returns, like Keon, Shakir, or Ty Johnson, over a guy like Codrington or Chenault, who are only really used in the return role? Okay. This is kind of the thing that I've talked about a lot. I'll take this one because I say, I wouldn't count Chenault right now. He's been hurt a little bit. Yes, he is a returner, but Codrington's always been the guy that I think is on this team, and he is the punt returner. And no, I cannot see one of those three guys taking his role as a punt returner. I do think that Ty Johnson and or Ray Davis will return kicks along with Codrington because they'll put two players back there to return kicks the way the alignment works now. But as far as punt returns, you know me, I've been saying for months, I think it's Brandon Codrington's job. I would be very surprised if he's not on the team and he's not the main punt returner, but you tell me, and I'm even more emboldened now after watching 2 weeks of practice or a week and a half.
Yeah, that Codrington is the punt returner
yes.
and that their kick returners are Codrington and then some other combination of Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you know how I felt. I didn't necessarily feel like it was a shoo-in, but I actually think one of the reasons we've started to see Codrington get a little bit more work on defense is because I think they want to see what he can bring them other than just the special teams work. And hey, just to know what we have here, but almost as but we know that you're going to be our primary punt returner and then a primary kick returner. So I do think that I agree with you on that. Ooh, this is a fun one. Who's the most underrated offensive and defensive player of camp based on total body of work this far? That's from Caleb. That is a good question.
The most underrated, what is it?
Most underrated offensive and defensive player. Why don't we just each pick a side of the ball, and then we'll each give an answer.
You mean so far through a week of camp?
Yes, through the first week and a half of camp, not specifically from today.
Underrated guy. So guy that is kind of not gotten. I'll go back to Jalen Virgil. I think Jalen Virgil. Nobody talks about him. I think he's had a really good camp. He gets lost in the numbers because we all, including myself, have said, "Oh, there's 5 receivers that are making this team. Maybe Tyrell Shavers is a 6th. I don't know. Maybe the Jalen Virgil's the 6th. Maybe Jalen Virgil's the 5th over somebody."
Okay, defense. Who's a guy you really like? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give my answer. But who's a guy you really like?
Where do you go first?
No, I'm going to say it. But I think I think you'd be able to guess who I'm going to say.
But it's got to be underrated, you said, right?
Yeah.
A guy that like nobody's like, I'm not going to choose Matt Milano, I don't think.
Exactly.
Even though I think Matt Milano's been really, really good so far. Who's a guy that's been
This is a guy you really like. You've talked about him for so you're very close. To Corey Couch.
I think, he's played.
Yeah.
Last year he was good in camp.
Last year he was good at camp. Last year at this time we were probably talking about, is there a way to Corey Couch gets on the roster?
Probably not.
And I don't know if there is right now, but it feels like he's a player who could stick around and then maybe one day work his way. He just makes plays.
He does.
I think he broke up the last play of the entire scrimmage today or whatever. It wasn't technically a scrimmage, but the last play of team drills today, he's had a couple great plays in Rochester where he just flashes, and he just feels like he's around the ball a lot. So Corey Couch, to me, defensively, is a name just to, kind of pay a little bit more attention to than you probably are. The first name I thought of for this was Trey. Like, I've been impressed with Tre'Davious White's game up to this point, but it doesn't feel like that's like overlooked or underrated because he at once was an all-pro. So he's somebody a lot of people know about.
I think we should also give some space tonight for the night that Dalton Kincaid had.
Yeah.
He had a good practice.
Yeah, he had a good practice, and it's even more impressive when you consider it wasn't with Josh.
Yeah, that's right. So
he had nice catch in the corner of the end zone. Although I don't know if it would have gotten blown dead, but he got the feet down. He had made a nice catch down the sideline that was impressive. Just seemed reliable. What they need Dalton Kincaid to be, and that's not a knock or anything or us moving the goalposts here. They need Dalton Kincaid to be reliable. They need the opposite of what we talked about with Keon Coleman, because that's why they drafted Dalton Kincaid. Because everybody said he's sure-handed, he brings everything in, and he's a receiving weapon you can trust.
Chris asks, could Cole Bishop already be done here? The answer is no. He has a quad injury.
No, but he's got to get on the field.
He does. I don't disagree.
Because
he's not done.
No.
Terrell Bernard missed like all of training camp the year that he's like, oh my God, this is supposed to be our starting middle linebacker, can even get on the field. And, look at the way everything ended for him. I'm not predicting that Cole Bishop's going to have a Terrell Bernard type of start to his career. I agree with you, Matt. He's got to get on the field, but I think also it's a little premature to write him off as a player on the Buffalo Bills, short-term or long-term.
Yeah, it's just the injuries last year stacked with the injuries that he's dealing with right now have, I'm sure, fans frustrated because it's a position where there's a lot of questions and there's not a lot of depth. So it's okay. What's going on with Cole Bishop? When is he going to get back on the field? Luckily, it is still August 1st when we're recording this, so he's got time. But I don't think any of us thought that his injuries last year were going to linger as long as they did. We get a lot of great questions, but there's one that we need to end on.
Okay.
And then we can go to bed because
I think
we're both tired. Micah Parsons. Would you consider it? And what is too much? Because the question, there's a couple Micah Parsons questions. This one's from Eric. He says,
can I reframe the question how I think it should be asked to us as people who talk about the Bills for a living?
Well, here's the question. If there was a way to afford it, would you rather get Terry McLaurin or Micah Parsons via trade? It's got to be Micah, right? So how would you
100% Micah Parsons.
Of course. Micah,
100%.
it's no question.
Okay, but this is where I always like to say to people, I say this to people on the radio. I think our jobs, you and I, yes, we can give opinions all we want. I think what fans really, to me, what's more valuable is what we think the Bills would
Will
do
do.
or should do, or what the
Yes.
Bills would do, right?
Yes.
Like how we think the Bills think about things. Okay.
Mhm.
That's what I think is more valuable. Who cares what Sal Capaccio or Matt Bove think? We're not the GM,
Mhm.
but we know the GM well enough or the way this team operates well enough to give an educated guess on what he's probably thinking about it, at
Uh-huh.
least how we interpret it. I would say with Terry McLaurin, when it comes to Brandon Beane, he would not be interested in bringing in Terry McLaurin, who's 30 years old already, for the kind of contract he wants. He's already
Mhm.
demonstrated he does not want to do that with wide receivers at that age.
Yep.
We know that. So
Yep.
I don't think that that's something that he's even probably interested in doing. I do think Micah Parsons would be very tempting for Brandon Beane. He's
Yep.
26 years old. He's an elite pass rusher. It's exactly the kind of thing the Bills have been searching for high and low over the last several years, including Von Miller, including Joey Bosa. I do think that Brandon Beane would be interested in that. What I think would be really too hard for him to do, though, would be really not even the cost of trading for him. That might be like, okay, you got to swallow that. And does that really match up? Maybe he wouldn't be able to get there on price point for the actual assets given up. But
Mhm.
I just think it would be way too hard for him to sign him to a long-term deal because that's what Micah Parsons want. It is possible. It's not, I think, anything really likely enough to explore right now for us.
So I was doing a little digging, and it seems like the ask is going to be around $45 million a year, which is quarterback money.
Whew.
And then the offer, the potential offer I was going to throw out, because this is going to be a fat offer for a
Okay.
team. Would you trade Greg Rousseau and 2 1s for Micah Parsons?
If I'm Brandon Beane,
Yeah.
I have to look at the finances. I think I would have
Because
to
Greg Rousseau
accelerate a
makes
lot of
half.
Rousseau.
Because Greg Rousseau makes 20 million a year, or ish, but like essentially half of what you would be paying Micah Parsons on a long-term contract and multiple first-round picks. You'd probably have to throw in some other stuff to make the money work and probably some other draft picks to level things out. But I think it's very unrealistic when you see somebody throw out, oh, the Bills should trade Curtis Samuel, AJ Epinesa, and a first-round pick, and they get back Micah Parsons and a 4th and a 5th. It's like, no. We're talking about a guy who's 26 years old, who has a boatload of sacks already, has already been a 3-time All-Pro. This is as good of a pass rusher as there is in the NFL at an unbelievably young age.
I don't think Brandon Beane would do it.
I don't think you would either. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think you would. If I was Brandon Beane, I would do anything I could to get Micah Parsons. No player on my team would be untouchable besides Josh Allen. Like, I don't think you would trade Deion Dawkins. I don't think you would trade Spencer Brown. But after that, after that, Micah Parsons is elite.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, I think it would probably be worth it because of the window you're in and you're trying to win a Super Bowl right now. I think we
Well-
also know that this GM really values those draft picks and to try to stay competitive for the next 5 years with Josh Allen as his quarterback. That's really the goal. The goal is over the next 5 years to win a couple Super Bowls, at least win one, obviously. But I mean, because that's what we know about how they've operated with these contract extensions. I think this organization believes they have 5 years to win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen in his prime.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
You could make the argument one or two ways here now. You could say, well, then you go get Micah Parsons now because he's 26 and that's going to give you your best shot because if your window is 5 years. You could also say, yeah, but those first round picks over the next couple of years that are extremely valuable to the next 5 years of what you're trying to do here while you can balance the rest of the roster financially.
Mm-hmm. You need those cost-controlled players who are expected to produce for you, and that's what first-round picks ultimately are, and I don't disagree with any of that. I just think sometimes you need to have dudes. The Bills have one of the biggest dudes in the NFL with Josh Allen on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, really haven't had that. Have good players. Don't really ever have great players on that. Well, that's harsh. They have great players. They don't have that. They don't have elites. Micah Parsons is a top 10 defender in the NFL. If you have that on your team with Josh Allen, that's Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones, right? That's better than that, probably, because Micah Parsons is that good. I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they'll pony up what it would cost. But if they did, I would absolutely praise the decision. I think it is such an indicator that you are trying to win right now, and I'll never fault somebody for doing that.
What do you think about Terry McLaurin? You agree with what I said? It's just not something they would do.
Yeah, like Terry McLaurin, just a little too old. It's going to get way too much money.
Yep.
He's, probably wants more than he's valued. I had this conversation in the press box before practice today. Feels like Terry McLaurin is like he's not a top 10 receiver, but he's in that 10 to 15 range, which is still a really, really good player. But given his age and what he reportedly wants, that's too much money for somebody there. They moved on from Stephon Diggs when he was younger than what Terry McLaurin is now. So I just don't necessarily see that happening.
It is late. We're finishing this up here at 11:17. I don't mean to be, rubbing it in or anything, but I will let you know that I am getting up and playing Oak Hill tomorrow.
Oh, that's exciting. I love that for you.
In the afternoon, actually, later afternoon, not going up there right away. Max has a baseball game. I'm going to go to that. It's a tournament. And then I'll be leaving there and going to Rochester to play Oak Hill. And then we have practice on Sunday morning. So I'll be, in the dorm rooms on tomorrow night.
What is your over-under goal?
I know a lot.
Now,
did you play it the year that the senior PGA came and they had the media come out that time? Not the PGA,
yes.
The senior PGA?
Yeah.
That day, I played it. I don't remember what tees we shot. It doesn't matter. And I shot an 89. And that was amazing to me that I broke 90 at Oak Hill.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be my goal. If I could break 90, I'd be like really happy.
That was the senior PGA was in 2018, 2019?
Yeah, it was pre-COVID, yeah.
So that was pre-renovation of Oak Hill.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. It's so much harder.
I've played it a few times since. I played it 3 times last year, actually.
I'm
shooting, I think last year I did like my best. I shot like a 95 there. But that might have been my best, maybe 94, somewhere in there. Which is fine. I'll take it. I want to do better than that. It sounds like a terrible score, but it's
first time I was fortunate enough to play it. Mike Catalana was with me, and I shot an 84.
What? Come on.
Yeah. I played a really good round of golf.
All right, that's my goal tomorrow. I got to beat Matt Bowie's 84. That's what I got.
Good luck. That's what I'll say. Good luck. Good luck.
I'll try it, and then I'll see you on Sunday. You coming up? Are you going to be there? Oh, maybe not. I mean, you got You're a TV guy. Maybe not coming up until Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy my week.
No offense to TV guys. I know you got other people covering it over there at WKBW. And that's where you can find Matt's work and everybody else doing their thing, especially the Stadium series. Of course, you can find that, which wrapped up last week, and now we're going to have Hard Knocks on HBO coming up this week, which Matt and I will definitely be back to talk about, no doubt. You can find me at WGR Sports Radio 550. Have a great night or day wherever and however you're listening to this podcast, everybody.